Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another video. It is the game review. Leeds United 1, Everton 1 at Ellen Road on Tuesday night. It's been a long time since we've done a game review in this format, in a video format. In fact, I can't remember the last time we did a game review that wasn't a live stream. The reason I'm doing this one as a video is because it's currently deadline day at the time of recording and there has been news coming in left, right and centre. Everton have just confirmed the signing of Idrissa Gana Gueye. I believe Everton are very close to completing the deal for Manchester United midfielder James Garner, and there is rumours about 42,000 other players being linked with moves to Everton as well. So I thought if we do a live stream, we're going to get inundated with, discussions about players and signings and stuff, and I'll end up getting, sidetracked into talking about, somebody else or talking about a player, or we'll get a bit of news on the live stream and we'll end up talking about that for 15 minutes. So I thought, you know what, we'll just do this one as a little video, we'll get it out there, and then we'll be able to focus back on, obviously, the transfer discussions and conversations for this evening. But yeah, Everton did play a game of football on Tuesday, another draw, third consecutive Premier League draw, of course, after draws to Nottingham Forest and Brentford. Second consecutive away Premier League draw, which is positive, I suppose. In another game that ultimately Everton should have won. For me, I've seen a couple of things on Twitter over the last 24, 48 hours or so from Jesse Marsh and other Leeds fans suggesting that they were unlucky to not win and that they should have won, which absolutely baffles me really, because I can't think of one clear chance that Leeds had other than their goal, whereas I can think of 3 or 4 that Everton had that were not even just clear chances but chances that you fully expect teams to score, and we didn't. So I'm not really sure where that sort of way of thinking is coming from, but maybe it's just a defence tactic from Jesse Marsh and those Leeds fans. But as I said, another ultimately disappointing result. Look, at the end of the day, a draw away at Leeds, isn't the worst result in the world, and I'm sure had you have said to a lot of Evertonians before the game, Everton go here and get a point, is that, did you take that? Are you happy with that? I'm sure a lot of Blues would have said, yes, in those circumstances. Obviously, the fact that we are still searching for our first Premier League win of the season is as I said, last week, something that is creating an unnecessary amount of anxiety within the fan base because of what we've just been through last season, in terms of barely surviving relegation and it going down to the penultimate game of the season. When you are 4 games into a Premier League season, 5 games into a Premier League season, you still haven't picked up a win, that causes those feelings of last season and that anxiety and that upset and that, that worry to sort of creep back in. But when you actually analyse the performances of recent, and you actually analyse the games in which we've played, they're not the worst results in the world. And as I said, the last 2 games, now the last 3 really, but certainly the last 2, we had chances to win and we probably should have won. And I think Leeds was a big example of that. Not only did Nathan Patterson have an absolute golden chance in the second half with 5-10 minutes to go, whatever it was, Damari Gray scored the goal. I still am not convinced there's offside, to be honest with you. I know I've seen all of the screenshots and they've drawn the lines, and the lines obviously make it look offside, but I don't really know where the lines are drawn from. One line's drawn from a Leeds defender's foot, and Damari Gray's line looks like it's drawn from his elbow, which is a bit mad because you can't score with your elbow. So I don't know why it's drawn from his elbow, because if it's drawn with any other part of his body, he's actually onside. Amadou Onana also had a great chance, in the second half from a corner. It bobbled up to him, and okay, it was a little bit. It all happened within a split second, and you could say he just wanted to get a connection on it. But had he have hit it anywhere else at the goal, it would have gone in. He hit it at the only fella that was standing on the goal line. Very similar with Nathan Patterson. If he hits it towards the goalkeeper's left, it's a goal, and Everton have won the game. But he doesn't. He panics, and he hits it straight at the goalkeeper. So there is that disappointment, and I say this frequently, even in games where you maybe are looking at them before and thinking, I'll take a point. I don't think any Evertonian left Ellen Road or, stopped watching the game the other day and was, completely happy and satisfied with a point for two reasons. One, because of the chances that we had, and two, because we're still yet to win, a game in the Premier League this season. So that was disappointing. I thought the way Everton played was much, much better than what we've seen recently. I seen somebody make a good point actually after the game, saying that is a game that last season we probably wouldn't have got anything out of, and we certainly wouldn't have performed that well. And when you take into consideration that Leeds single-handedly wiped the floor with Chelsea a couple of weeks ago, and I remember sitting there watching that game and thinking, oh, these are quick, these press high, they press quick. They've got players like Brennan Aronson, who's constantly on defenders' toes. They're really aggressive. This will be a really difficult game, and I thought Everton were fairly good on Tuesday night. Again, first half, I thought we were very good, similar to Brentford. Worked hard defensively. We were solid. Obviously, Frank Lampard changed the shape. He changed the system. He changed the style. He went with a 4 at the back instead. Obviously, Connor Cody and James Tarkowski were in that centre-back partnership. Now, whether that had anything to do with wanting to change the system to try something new, or whether it was just purely because obviously Mason Holgate has picked up an injury, I'm not entirely sure. But what we do know is that he changed the system, Frank Lampard, and I think Everton were better for it, to be honest with you. We looked a little bit more structured defensively. I thought Nathan Patterson, once again, was absolutely fantastic. And we had more in midfield. Now, okay, Leeds had the majority of the possession, and Leeds statistically looked the much better team, but football isn't won and lost on statistics. Ultimately, it's won and lost on the goals that you score and the goals that you avoid conceding. And as I said, I thought the midfield looked better with Onana, Iwobi and Tom Davis in there. There was an extra pair of legs in there. I thought Amadou Onana was absolutely excellent again. I thought he was absolutely fantastic again. Second game on the bounce now, where he's been pretty much faultless. Amadou Onana, had he have scored that goal towards the end, it would have completely topped it up. But second game on the bounce, where he's been completely faultless, and Alex Iwobi was his typical self, which is mad, because if I'd have said that sentence this time last season, Alex Iwobi was his typical self, you would think, oh, that means he's done absolutely nothing. He's hidden in the game. He's been awful. His passing was poor. His shooting was poor. Now you say Alex Iwobi's been his typical self, and all of a sudden it's, we all go to, oh, he must have had a really good performance then, because that is his typical self at the moment. And we had a threat going forward. I was worried when I saw that front three of Dwight McNeil, Anthony Gordon, and Damari Gray, because we've seen that front three a number of times already this season do absolutely nothing in important games for Everton. So when we lined up with that front three without Rondon, I was surprised, because obviously Rondon didn't feature against Brentford. So I was a little bit surprised, or didn't start against Brentford, so I was a little bit surprised that that wouldn't, that we wouldn't have gone with him in there. But it worked. I thought Anthony Gordon played well. I thought Damari Gray played well. I thought Dwight McNeil played well. Okay, Dwight McNeil didn't do an awful lot going forward creatively in terms of creating chances or getting shots on goal, but his work rate was much, much better than what it has been. It was his best game in an Everton shirt by some distance for me, Dwight McNeil. And as I said, Frank Lampard changed the system, maybe through force, maybe through wanting to try something different, and it worked. We managed to nullify Leeds' strengths, and as I said, a team that pride themselves and certainly have had success this season with their pressing and with their constant pressure of teams. They struggled to do that with Everton on Saturday, because every time the centre-backs had the ball, they were playing it round fairly comfortably. Certainly in that first half, there was no real issue for James Tarkowski or Connor Cody. The midfield looked okay with it. And yes, Leeds obviously had the majority of the possession, and Leeds were the aggressing team. But I think that works in Everton's favour, certainly in away games, because it allows us to be able to sit back, it allows us to defend, and it allows us to hit teams on the counter-attack, and that's exactly what we did. We got the goal through a really, really nice bit of play by Gordon in the first place to get it out of his feet, gets it to McNeil. McNeil plays it to Iwobi, and Iwobi plays an unbelievable ball. I've seen a few people say Iwobi's ball was lucky because he's lucky that he caught the defender out. Wasn't lucky at all. He's seen that the defender had his head up his arse and was, didn't know where he was. And he played an absolutely unbelievable pass through the middle, through the entire back line of Leeds, into Anthony Gordon. And in that point, Anthony Gordon's, only got to take a touch and finish it, exactly like he did against Brentford. Very similar goal to the one against Brentford, not in terms of the build-up, but in terms of when Anthony Gordon picked the ball up. It was a very similar situation. And you're talking about a lad at the moment who is just absolutely oozing confidence, isn't he? The latest news on Anthony Gordon, according to David Maddock at the Mirror, there was another approach from Chelsea overnight, I believe, and it was swiftly rejected by Everton, which, as I said yesterday, is absolutely what Everton should be doing. There's not a chance Everton should be considering selling Anthony Gordon this late in the transfer window. He's been at Finch Farm today, as you would expect, and he's looked relatively happy when leaving Finch Farm as well, and as I said, that in the last 2 games, he very certainly has been in the form of his certainly of this season. He scored 2 goals. He's worked hard. He's battled. And he celebrated quite incessantly with the old hands in the ears sort of celebration, which to me basically says I'm not listening to any speculation. I'm going to get my head down and I'm going to work hard, and that's exactly what he's done. And as I said, I was impressed with the first half from Everton. I thought it was an impressive first half. I thought we worked hard. I thought we battled well for the ball. I thought we moved it well. Yeah, I thought, as I said, okay, they had the majority of the possession, but when we had the possession, we were looking fairly good with it. As I said, it wasn't like we were panicking. We dealt well with their pressure. We dealt well with the fight as well. Leeds United, we're always going to bring that fight. They were always going to bring that sort of grit and that determination. And I actually think Everton done really, really well to deal with that. And there was quite clearly a sort of an atmosphere at Ellen Road, because there always is an atmosphere at Ellen Road, and it was an atmosphere that was forged out of Leeds United, Jesse Marsh, their players, their fans, all being frustrated by Everton's non-existent time wasting, which is a bit mad because they seem to believe that there was a load of time wasting when there wasn't. Really half the time that was being wasted was because the ball was in the crowd and we couldn't get it back, which I don't really know how that's Everton's fault, but as Frank Lampard said, their obsession was strange with that. But again, similar to Brentford, I thought we looked strong in that first half. We got the goal, which, as I said, was a really lovely goal, really lovely finish again. Really well-timed finish, by the way. This is something that I've been critical of, and I think a lot of Evertonians have been critical of Anthony Gordon for in the past, was not being clinical in those final third, but also not making the right decision, not getting the ball out of his feet quick enough, not making the right decision whether to shoot or when to pass it, whether to shoot or when to cross. But over the last 2 games, he's got that decision right. And as I said, he's looking really, really confident at the moment. And a confident Anthony Gordon is a very, very good Anthony Gordon. And for me, he's looking like a player who has got a point to prove. Now, whether that's a point to prove to stay at Everton, or whether that's a point to prove to ultimately get a move at some point in the future, whether it be January or next summer or whenever, I don't really know. But he's looking like he's got a point to prove at the moment. And as I said, his performances in his last 2 games have been much, much better than his previous, 3 or 4. So, yeah, really, really nice finish. Well out of it, got it out of his feet quick and put Everton 1-0 up. And you're sort of thinking then, right, is this going to go in the same way as that it went against Brentford? Are we going to sit back now for the entire rest of the game and just hope that we can manage to sort of see this game out and hope that we can defend for 60, 70 minutes without conceding a goal? But we didn't. We continued to, deal with their pressure. Okay, they had a couple of chances as well. They had a couple of shots. They had one cross that was fizzed across the box. Again, this is an issue for me with Everton. I was going to say at the moment, but it's been an issue with me with Everton for years, is we don't stop the cross coming in the box. We never, ever, ever stop the cross coming into the box. Without fail, that cross comes in. And as I said, we got away with 1 or 2 on Tuesday night where the cross come in and there wasn't a Leeds player to get on the end of it. It ended up going out for a goal kick, or Jordan Pickford ended up coming and to collect it. But on another day against another team, there's somebody on the end of that, and we've conceded again through not stopping that cross coming in. Having said that, I again think Nathan Patterson was absolutely excellent on on Tuesday. Now, okay, you know, we can be criticised for his goal, for his chance that he didn't score, and I understand that, and I appreciate that some fans will be critical of that because, you know, he's a professional footballer, he's in a good position, he should do much better there. I get it, I completely get it, but the reality of the situation is that he was excellent on Tuesday night. Okay, he should have taken that chance, and I appreciate that, and he should have done better. But defensively, he was absolutely excellent. He was everywhere. He was battling. He was working hard. He was putting the tackles in, and he rose to the occasion of playing at Ellen Road in a hostile environment. And I think that's one thing that was really, really impressive for me, was that every one of those Everton players rose to that occasion. None of them shied away from the fight. None of them shied away from the battle. None of them shied away from the 50-50s. You could tell Leeds were going to make it horrible. They were going to make it hard. They were going to make it physical. They were going to make it a fight. They were going to make it a scrap. We've seen many Everton team and many Everton players, including ones that are currently still playing in this team and that played on Tuesday, that when faced with those situations, when you're coming up against a team, you know, that want to make it hard for you and that want to make it a bit of a scrap and that want to make it difficult, have shied away and have not wanted to get involved in that side of the game, and then ultimately being beaten comfortably because we haven't shown as much fight, we haven't shown as much desire. I can't even begin to recall how many times I sat here on this channel last year doing instant match reactions, player ratings, review streams, and the words "they wanted it more than us" come out of my mouth. I can't even begin to recall. Watford comes into play, Burnley away comes into play. A number of games we sat here and we all said, well, the opposition team wanted it more. They have more fight, they have more grit, they have more determination. But it seems like that isn't the case now. And I think that's partly because of how we ended the season and the fact that we had to show that fight and we had to show that grit. But I also think it's the players that we've brought in, the likes of James Tarkowski, the likes of Connor Cody, the likes of Amadou Onana. They're not going to stand for getting kicked around. Certainly the two centre-halves, because they're big, physical centre-halves who have played for teams that, especially James Tarkowski with Burnley, played for teams that, you know, aren't going to stand being stood and kicked about and bullied about the pitch and aren't going to be outfought in any sense of the imagination. And I think we're seeing that more and more often. And, you know, we certainly saw that for me on Tuesday night. I think, you know, there was very clearly a grit, very clearly a determination. You saw that when Anthony Gordon was squaring up to one of their players. You saw James Tarkowski was straight over, Alex Iwobi was straight over. I think a couple of other players were straight over as well. It wasn't a case of Anthony Gordon stood on his own. Everybody was over there to get involved with it, because this Everton team at the moment seem up for the battle. They seem up for the fight. They seem up for the, you know, the grit and the dark, you know, the not the dark side of the game, but you know what I mean, the, you know, the battling side of the game. When you're coming up against teams like Leeds away from home, you need to be up for that, otherwise they'll wipe the floor with you. And I thought we done really well in that sense. And as I said, in that first half, again, I thought it was good. Yes, they had their chances, and yes, maybe we got a little bit fortunate with a couple of their players not being on form and not doing as well as maybe they should have done with the chances. But, you know, that's football. You get fortunate in football. Every team gets fortunate in football. But I thought we managed that first half really, really well. The three in midfield I thought were good. Tom Davies was a little bit quieter than Onana and Iwobi. Onana was excellent again for me, very close to being given that man of the match award. If it wasn't for Alex Iwobi being absolutely phenomenal, Onana would have been given that man of the match award. And you know, we dealt with every bit of pressure that they had to put on us, whether it be physical pressure or whether it be that pace and that, you know, high press and that aggression that, you know, the likes of Brennan Allinson bring. You know, I think Jordan Pickford even managed to win a one-on-one against, was it Rafinha, and he ended up having to go off early on in the first half because Jordan Pickford, I think he might have dislocated his shoulder with a one-on-one shoulder barge, which is baffling, considering some people still seem to think there's other English goalkeepers better than him, because there really, really isn't. I know, obviously, you know, a shoulder barge isn't usually needed in goalkeeping, but yeah, it showed that we were up for that physical side of the game. And, you know, we go in at half time 1-0 up, and my first feeling was, don't do what we did against Brentford. Don't try and sit back for 90 minutes. Don't try and sit back for 45 minutes and try and hold on to a win, because Leeds will come out fighting. They'll come out quick, and if they get even a sniff within the opening 10 or 15 minutes of this second half that we're sitting back and that we're willing to just sit back and sort of see the game out, then they'll just pile the pressure on. They'll bring the substitutes on. They had the likes of Bamford to bring on. They had a couple of other lads they could have brought on, and they'll just pile the pressure on us. And I don't think Everton are good enough to be able to deal with that amount of pressure without any sort of aggression or attack for 45 minutes. But we didn't. It was different to Brentford because it was almost like Frank Lampard had learned his lesson a little bit, in the sense that he knew that, okay, we need to be we need, there's an element of this that needs to be defensive. There's an element of this that needs to be sit back and make sure we don't give anything stupid. And as I said, Leeds were always the dominant team in terms of, the possession anyway, because that was always how the game's going to be. But it wasn't just fully, sit back and hold on like Brentford was. It wasn't fully, right, we don't want the ball now. I feel like Brentford, there was a lot of times in that Brentford game where we got the ball in that second half, and it was almost like, we don't want it. Have it back. We're just going to sit here and create this big, long block, and you're not going to be able to break through it. And every time we got a chance to counter, or every time we had the ball, there wasn't many players up with Anthony Gordon or with Damari Gray or whoever it was that was countering, and there wasn't much agency to do that. Whereas that was different on Tuesday. It was like, okay, we're going to sit back and we're going to defend and we're going to be tight. But if we get a chance to break, if we get a chance to counter, we'll take it. We'll get forward. We'll get up the pitch. We'll create a chance for ourselves. And we did that. And we did that on a couple of occasions. Again, the second half started similarly to how the first half ended. Leeds having all of the possession, but Everton battling well for it. Thought Iwobi was absolutely excellent in that centre mid position, battling for the ball. Same with Amadou Onana, who is already looking like a top signing. He's only been at the football club for 2 weeks. He's already looking like a steal, if I'm being honest with you, in terms of the money we pay for him, and he's been here about 15 minutes. But they were doing really well at winning that battle, frustrating those Leeds players, at going down and winning challenges and, getting involved in that physical side of the game. Iwobi was picking the ball up, moving into pockets of space, moving around, doing well with it. And then they get their goal, which I remember looking at the time. I remember looking and thinking, that must have took a deflection. That's got to have taken a deflection, because there's not a chance that would have wrong-footed Jordan Pickford without taking a deflection. I was wrong. It didn't take a deflection. I've watched the replay since, and for me, it's just an extremely, extremely unlucky goal to concede. A really, really, really unlucky goal to concede. Ultimately, Jordan's got his vision blocked by by James Tarkowski, who stood in front of him. He's unable to look around James Tarkowski, and therefore he can't make a decision. He can't decide whether he's going to dive. He can't decide whether he's going to stay put, because the moment he makes that decision, if it's the wrong one, he looks like a bit of a fool. So Jordan is glued to his line, and to be fair to the lad who scored, I can't remember what his name is, but to be fair to the lad who scored, he, it was a really good shot. It was a really clever shot, because he's seen that Jordan Pickford's vision was impaired, and he's or was blocked, sorry, and he thought, I'm going to go there because, there's much less chance of him getting it. And all of a sudden, it's 1-1, and you're thinking, right, okay, how does this pan out? How does this work? Are they going to now be the aggressor, and is it going to be sit back and defend a 1-1 draw, or is it going to be a long, hard 25, 30 minutes, or is Everton going to come out and try and win this game? Because I always felt like the game was there to be won. I always felt like, okay, Leeds are a decent side and they've had a decent start to the season, but then by no means an unbeatable team, and I don't think they were very good the other day. I said that after the game, and somebody said, how can you say that Leeds are a poor team? Leeds were poor on Tuesday night. They're not a poor team. Well, they're not much better than a poor team, to be fair, because they literally only just about survived relegation like we did last season. But they were poor on Tuesday night, and they were very certainly there for the taking, and Everton didn't capitalise on that. However, Everton also didn't adopt the same tactic as we did against Brentford, where it was just sit back and not even be interested in the ball when it comes to us. We actually thought, no, do you know what? We're going to be, we need to be careful, obviously. And I thought defensively, Cody and Tarkowski were fairly solid throughout the entirety of the game. I really, really do. I don't think there was much problem with either of them through any part of the game. But we defended. We defended well. The midfield was still picking up the ball. But we were getting forward and we were creating chances and we were attacking, and that is where the heartbreaking thing comes from, is when you're so desperate for a win. I said this the other day, and I'm not going to say too much on this because we are going to do the preview to the Merseyside derby. That'll be tomorrow, as it always is. Previews on a Friday. Obviously, the Merseyside derby is 12:30 on Saturday, and as I said, we'll do the preview to that tomorrow. But I tweeted this out the other day. I'll say it again now. I won't say too much because I don't want to jinx it, but I'll say it again now. I do feel like this style, this system, this way of playing will click. Now, I know we haven't won a game of football, but we come incredibly close on Tuesday night. We come incredibly close on Saturday, even though we rolled our luck against Brentford. They scored with 5 minutes to go. Okay, maybe not so much Nottingham Forest, but it almost just feels like the desire's there, the work rate's there, the battle's there, the fight's there. There's not much going forward, but we've added in Neil Maupay. We may add again today before the window closes. And even without those additions, there's been more going forward in the last 2 games than there had been previously. Defensively, we look much stronger. Everyone's behind the manager, including the board and the fans. The fans were still singing the manager's name at the end of the game. It just feels like this is going to click at some point. Now, obviously, we are all hoping and praying and crossing everything we can cross that it is on Saturday, and we absolutely wipe the floor with them lot, because I watched them lot last night and they're not great at the moment. I know they won, and they won in the 89th minute, and that might give them confidence, the 99th minute, and that might give them confidence or whatever, but they're not very good. Their midfield isn't very good. But enough about that, because I don't want to jinx it. It does feel like we're going in the right direction. It's just a matter of being patient, and when we get that first win, I think that could lead us, have a bit of a domino effect and lead us onto a good little bit of form. And that's why it's so disappointing when you have chances like we had towards the end of the game, because we did, and we had the better chances. Okay, they had 1 or 2, which forced Jordan Pickford into making a couple of saves, and they had 1 which was a really, really bad miss. And I can't remember who it was. I was the other end of the pitch, but one of their players had a free shot from about 15 yards out and missed. But you're sort of looking at it thinking, we should have won that, because the chances we had were clear cut. We go up the other end on a counter-attack, as I said, defend them well. They're not really causing us much problems. Brendan Aaronson's running around like a headless chicken, as is a lot of these Leeds players. They're still being frustrated. You can tell there's clearly still, that frustration within the stadium, within the fan base. They want them to go out and get a winner, but they're not, again, they find it difficult to break through. And we go and get a second. Anthony Gordon does really, really well again to bring the ball forward, take it on, slides to Damari Gray, and Damari Gray with a really, really cool finish. But unfortunately, he is a hair's length, sleeves length, I don't know, a hobbit's fingernail length, I don't know. He is marginally offside, potentially even onside. And it was at that point I remember thinking, we can win this. This game's here for the taking. This game is well here for the taking. We can win this. And I think that was resonated in the entire squad and in the manager. I think the manager and the players at that point thought, no, do you know what? We can win this. We can get at these. We can battle with these. We can create chances. And if we do, we can take one of them. We've already shown we can take one of them. Defensively, they left space in behind. Defensively, they gave us chances. And we did get chances. As I said, Anthony Gordon had another couple that maybe should have done a little bit better with, but were difficult. But the Onana chance is golden. Absolutely golden. If he hits it anywhere else at the goal, it's in. And we've won the game, because I honestly don't think Leeds were going to go up and get a second. I just don't think that was going to happen. And the Patterson one is devastating, because he's literally got what felt like sat in the stadium watching it about 45 minutes to line up a shot. But he's obviously got time to line up his shot. He's got time to decide where he's going to hit it. And he makes the wrong decision ultimately, and that for me is poor. He makes the wrong decision, even though he's a right back, and even though, as I said, I thought he was absolutely excellent on Tuesday. He should do better with that. It's as simple as that. He should do better, and he doesn't. And obviously, we end up missing that chance, and then they go, the game carries on. They keep the possession a little bit, and it ends in a draw. And as I said, you're sort of thinking, this is better. We're getting better. We look better. But we still need for this to click. We still need that one win. And as I said, I'm hoping that the introduction of Neil Mopey up front will offer us a lot more. And hopefully we bring in at least another one. Definitely another one, but maybe even another two, but at least another one in a forward position before the end of tonight. For us to be able to, to strengthen that attack. Because I honestly think had we have had Richarlison or Dom, but more so Richarlison, I think we'd have won on Tuesday without a doubt. I think we'd have beaten Brentford without a doubt. I think we'd have beaten Forest without a doubt. Maybe not Villa because we weren't very good. And Chelsea was sort of up in the air as well. But we'd have won 3 games out of 5 in the Premier League. For me, without a doubt, if we had Richarlison. And that's the importance of going out and getting another forward in. Because there's games there to be won and we're not winning them. But, as I said, things are looking better. There's certainly a better feeling around the football club at the moment, although I think there's an underlying sort of worry about when our first win will come from. There's certainly a better feeling around the football club and around how things are going, and ultimately the test now is Liverpool on the weekend, and hopefully that is a test that we can overcome. And as I said, it will click at one point. Let's just hope it is on Saturday. But yeah, disappointing for me, because we had chances to win it. We should have won it towards the end, but we didn't. We move on. Not a bad point in terms of, playing Leeds at Ellen Road. It's a difficult game. It's a difficult ground to go to. It was physical. It was tough. But as I said, the biggest thing I took was that we created an awful lot more than what we did at Brentford. We attacked an awful lot more. We had a lot more confidence. And also, one thing that really, really stuck with me was the battle, was the fight, was the determination, was the passion, because that's something that for large parts of last season we were missing, and we seem to have that now. There seems to be a togetherness, there seems to be a grit about this team, and that's what, the best Everton teams over the years have had, that grit. So let's hope that we can get that win soon, because we desperately need it. But anyway, we are going to leave it there then. Big thank you all for watching. If you have enjoyed this one, please do hit that like button. Don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comment section down below, how you're feeling about the game on Tuesday. I know you're looking forward to Saturday. I don't think many people are, because we never look forward to a Merseyside derby. If you have enjoyed this one, please do leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new as well. And yeah, as I said, we'll be back with constant transfer news videos and stuff like that, announcement videos when they come, and obviously the game preview to the Merseyside derby tomorrow. But big thank you all for watching. Leave a like if you've enjoyed it, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you later.